Welcome back to Spraguever Homestead. So today we're finally going to talk about breeding your rabbits. So you might think that breeding rabbits is pretty self-explanatory, and for the most part it is. But there are probably things that you should go ahead and make sure you're doing every single time before you start breeding, just to make sure, one, that your rabbits are healthy and that you're doing the things that you can to absolutely increase your chances of success. And by success, I mean good, strong, healthy litters. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and take your rabbits out and give them an inspection. Now, the buck we're going to be using today, I already actually had out and breeding him the other day, so we've already looked him over and confirmed that he is in good health. So what we're going to do here with Ducky is, while we've got her out, I've gone ahead and trimmed her toenails. We're going to go ahead and get a weight on her. Then we're just going to flip her over and give her an overall health inspection to make sure that everything looks good. Okay, so first let's put you on the scale. Alright, and she's at a pretty good weight for her. Now, if you've had your rabbits for a while, and of course you should be checking their weight periodically, you'll kind of have an idea of what their weight ought to be. She's about a 7-pound doe. She just weaned a litter here a couple weeks ago, so she is a couple ounces off. But overall, her flesh condition feels good, and I feel confident in going ahead and breeding her. Okay, so after we've checked her weight, what we're going to do, and she's a little bit of a brat, you're going to go ahead and check for fur mites and ear mites. And you're just wanting to make sure that if you have a problem, you're not spreading it. So if I had found anything, I would stop, go ahead and treat, and not risk exposing the buck. So since she looks good there, now we're just going to go ahead, we're going to flip her over. Come on, baby. And like I said, I did go ahead and trim her nails. So now we're just going to go ahead and check her vent area. There's no sign of diarrhea, nothing going on. And she does look flushed and does look like she's ready to breed. Now, the things that you're looking for there is you're looking to make sure you don't have a problem with vent disease. You might see discharge. You might see swollen genitals that are not indicating that a doe is actually interested. Because, of course, if they're ready to breed, you're going to get kind of a darker red-purple. But you're really looking to make sure there are no bumps, lumps, oozing, that sort of thing. Okay, so from here, what we're going to do now that we've confirmed that our doe is healthy and ready, we're going to go ahead and bring her in and put her in with the buck. Now, it's important to know that you never put a buck into a doe's cage. You always want to bring her to him. Does are highly territorial, and I have heard of does actually castrating males when you've tried to do it the other way. So what we're going to go ahead and do, let's put Ducky in here with Lane. Come here, sweet pea. And he's a bit of a slow breeder, so we'll give him just a minute to kind of check her out. Your buck will mount. Sometimes your doe will run around, and of course they're going to go ahead and hide behind the feeder. She's going to lift, and he's going to fall off. Now, if you don't get the fall off, that doesn't necessarily mean that they didn't breed. We've had some bucks over the years that don't fall off, so be very careful and just keep an eye on your doe. If it looks like he's getting there, he's getting there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and close up this cage, and I'm going to leave him for about 15 to 20 minutes. Now, if you have an aggressive buck, you may not want to do that, but I've been using Lane for about 2 years now, and I know that he's really good with his ladies. I don't have to worry about him attacking them at all. And what this does is it gives her a little time to calm down. Usually you'll get 3 or 4 breedings, fall-offs, and this will increase your chances of a good litter size. Okay, so if you put your doe in and she refuses, and this does happen, it can mean a couple of things. If you've just pulled the litter off, maybe she's just not ready to breed again. Sometimes it takes them 2 or 3 weeks of not having babies in there and not nursing before they generate and want to do another cycle. So if she doesn't breed today, that doesn't mean it's a deal breaker. Go ahead and take her out and put her into her own cage. Try again in a week, see if that's any better. Now, if that's not helping, and I raise champagne d'Argents, which tend to be boogers to breed, there's a couple of things that you can do. If you've looked online, you've probably seen the whole swap cages thing. What you do is you go ahead and leave her in his cage, take him out, and put him back in her cage. The idea behind this is that they pick up all those kind of bucky scents that the buck leaves in his pen, and it gets them a little bit more in the mood. The other thing you can do is you can try ramping up some of the vitamins that she's eating. So if she doesn't already get black oil sunflower seeds, you can start adding that in. There's a million different things online. I've tried most of them and had mixed results. But the ones that have worked the best for me are adding black oil sunflower seeds to the feed, which is why we have it in our mix all the time, and going ahead and swapping cages. Now, what you want to do is just swap them overnight. The next day, go ahead and bring them back into a cage together. Usually, I put him back in with her in his cage without any problem, and see if that doesn't fix it. Now, in rare cases, this still doesn't work. And again, I raise champagnes, which can kind of be a pain. If you are confident in your buck and you know your buck and really know that he's not going to chew on her, and your doe isn't going to try and castrate him overnight, you can leave them in together. Now, this does require pretty close supervision. You shouldn't just leave them and check them once a day. I tend to check mine 4 and 5 and 6 times a day. Again, I'm based at home, so if you're going to do that, do it on a weekend. And you can go ahead and leave them for 3, 4, 5 days. The longest that I've ever had to leave 2 animals together to get a breeding, it's been 14 days, and that was with me witnessing it, and sure enough, based on when she actually pulled fur and kindled, she had gone the entire 14 days before she decided to lift. Now, there are some drawbacks to leaving them in together. It's because you don't actually see the conception, most likely, so you don't know if actual breeding has occurred. There are some ways to kind of check. When you go out, you'll want to pull your female out, flip her over, and check her vent area. If it looks especially moist, he's probably gotten to her. Also, look for a lot of pulled fur and check the back of her neck. A lot of times when bucks are breeding, they'll pull some fur at the back of the neck. So if it looks like she's gotten kind of a bad haircut, chances are he has actually done the deed. Okay, so now that you've successfully put him in, you've gotten your buck to have at least 1 good fall off. Remember, 3 is preferred. 1 is all it really takes. Now you're just going to go ahead and wait about 31 days, and you should get a nice little nest box full of adorable little meat wigglers. So because I've got some does due this next week, we are going to go ahead and do an entire video on the nest boxes that I use, the nest boxes I would recommend, and what you want to put in your nest box. So that's going to be coming up this next week. Like I said, I kind of have to film it because I've got babies due. So that's it for today on Sprague Homestead. If you have questions about breeding rabbits, maybe you've got a stubborn doe at home that's just not breeding, or you've got questions, maybe the old guy seems to be shooting blanks. You never can tell with these guys. Go ahead and leave your comments down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. If I get enough comments, we'll go ahead and make a top 5 questions about breeding rabbits. So keep that in mind too. And like I said, that's it from Sprague Homestead, and we will see you next time. Happy homesteading. Yeah.